Hey friends and family, thanks for tuning in to tonight's Thursday Night Thought, where I share weekly messages and strategies of how to apply these messages to our life. And each week has a theme, and I want to read to you the theme of this week's message, and it is this: dare to believe that you don't have to be afraid. I'll repeat that. Dare to believe that you don't have to be afraid. And this is a powerful message. So before we dive into this message, I want you to think of something, bring something into your awareness right now of something that you fear, yet you deeply desire on some level. So it has to have those two elements. It has to be something that brings up fear within the body, yet also is something that you really desire. Maybe it's a relationship, but you fear rejection. Maybe it's a promotion, asking for a promotion from your boss, but you fear the reaction or what he'll think. Or maybe it's you want to buy a new house, but you fear having the stable finances to keep the house up. Something in your life right now that you desire yet fear, because I want you to bring that into this week's message, because there's a strength in that when we're really applying it to our life, not just being inspired and sharing the messages, but really applying them to our life. And that's what it's all about. So write that down, something that brings up those two emotions of fear and desire, or passions, love, something of those nature. And then whatever that is, whatever you desire specifically, I want you to think of that as something that lights up your spirit. It's your spiritual passion. It makes you come alive and light up. And then I'm going to go ahead and read this message so you can apply that specifically to what this is bringing in. And the message is this: the strength of your spiritual passion is being reinforced now through access to unlimited divine resources. For through your heart's burning desire to love the world, God's power and glory is at work. Nothing shall subdue your light. So that theme, to dare to believe that we don't have to be afraid, taking in what that is for you right now, and then hearing this message. Can you dare to believe that this message is true? That whatever that dream is, whatever that passion is, that you have access to unlimited divine resources, and that whatever that spiritual passion is that lights you up is part of God's work, God's glory. And so nothing's going to subdue that there's a power in that. If you can really believe that, or even dare to believe that, there is power in this message. But the first thing that we have to talk about is fear, and what fear is, because I don't believe that we can be in an experience of fear and love simultaneously. In other words, we can't be feeling that passion but have fear present at the same time. It's one or the other, and we're either serving one or the other. And so it's very interesting. There are two things scientifically that they've found about fear, and this is going to give us a little bit of a basis to build on as we go into, again, how to apply this message to our life. And the first one is, do you know that our brains are wired in the way that if we're experiencing fear in the moment, that we actually are in a state of feeling fear. Our body is producing adrenaline. Our body doesn't know the difference of being in that state and actually experiencing fear just within our own worries and our mind. Our body is reacting to whatever fear we're attaching to. That's pretty powerful when we think about our bodies. If you think about it, our mind is like this computer system, and whatever it is that we're taking in, whatever it is we're feeding it, if it's fear, it's producing it. It's like, okay, yes, we're in fear. I'm going to send adrenaline to the body, and that's going to be what I need to do right now. It's fight or flight, right? That's kind of the way our ancestors were. So number 2, there's also another scientific research called cognitive dissonance. And this is when we have 2 hemispheres of our brain. We have a right and left hemisphere. And one side of our brain is very rational. It's very decision making. It's very based on our experiences, our beliefs, and all those different kind of things. And then the other side of our brain is very creative, very imaginative, very much in the dream state. So why is it that when we specifically go into this state of feeling fear and feeling this desire at the same time, that we end up depleted or not moving forward or not pursuing our passions? The reason is because we're in this cognitive dissonance. One side of our brain is in fear mode. Don't do that. This could happen. Worry, panic, all of those kind of things. And then the other side of our brain is like, but I want to dream. I want to be imaginative. I want to be creative. And I want to feel that right now. So that is what cognitive dissonance is. And that is what happens when we find ourselves in this state of daring to believe that we don't have to be afraid, and then taking in that powerful message. So I wrote a book, and the title of the book is, for those of you who haven't read it, it's You and I, Inc., The Connection of Sexuality and Spirituality. And it is a novel, and the main character in the book finds herself in a state of cognitive dissonance. Her name's Linnea, and she's in a state where she desires to be in a relationship, but her past experiences have distrust around men. In other words, she's desiring this relationship, but she's fearing something about the relationship. And so it puts her in this state of cognitive dissonance. And I wrote the book as an allegorical novel. So I bring in this element of the supernatural. And what happens is I talk about how this spirit is attached to her. And it's a phenomenal story. And for those of you who have read the book, leave some comments in there about how that book has affected your life, but it's affected my life dramatically. So if you think about a spiritual attachment, if you think about this ghost, per se, supernatural experience, is attached to her, and it's constantly whispering in her ear, don't trust him. He's going to do you wrong. This is going to happen. All these different things that are bringing up fear, right? And she's living in this constant state of fear. And it's talking about how is it that she's creating her life based on either being in touch with her spiritual passion, which is wanting to have this beautiful relationship with a man, or attaching to this fear. Because we create our reality based on what it is we believe. So in the book, I use the spirit as the metaphor of what happens when we're in cognitive dissonance. So the way you can get out of cognitive dissonance is by creating a new experience. And it will then change those neural pathways. There's a ton of science and research on this. But how do you do that when you're still holding on to fear? How do you have the courage to step out and pursue those things? So through the book, she is on a journey of really in this relationship, but kind of holding back because of that fear and what's going on with this spirit that's attached to her. So the other part of it is, if you could think about your fear as not being yours and actually being something else, be it your past programming, be it a spiritual attachment. What if the thoughts, the thought energy that has been on our planet for so long truly is all around us and influencing us on a daily level? What if those fears actually aren't our thoughts? That's what this book will bring up for you. And so as she's attached to this spirit, she's trying to decide, is it her that truly believes that? Or is it the influence of this fear, wherever it comes from? In this instant, it's the metaphor of a spirit, a ghost. And so what's fascinating is when we recognize that these fears are not ours, then we don't, number one, claim them. We can say, oh, that is the spirit. Oh, that is my past programming. Oh, that's what happened to me back in 3rd grade. Oh, that's what happened to my parents. So, that's where it's coming from. It doesn't matter as long as we recognize that it's coming from something other than ourselves, because the spiritual passion is what lives inside of us. And when we're tapped into that, that's how we create our reality. So it's very much recognizing, what are we feeling in the body, because we can't experience those two emotions at one time. And like I said, if we are experiencing those two emotions one time, we're going to be drained because our body's adrenaline is going to be moving, and then we just don't have the passion any longer to pursue it. So in the book, I'm not going to give it away, and I'm not going to give the story away, so you can go and read it for yourself. But she has this realization that it's not her. And if she could detach from the spirit, if she could actually have a moment of knowing who she is, her greatest self, her voice, her passion, and her dreams, what would it be like to not live with that fear? What would it be like? Dare to not be afraid. What would that be like? Well, she finally has to confront it. She finally has to look at it and say, I'm sick and tired of you hanging around. I'm sick and tired of whatever this thought energy is that's coming in, that's holding me back from pursuing my greatest spiritual passion. And you have to be able to claim it and say in that moment that I recognize you. You're outside of me. You're not a part of me. So how do I detach when you are apart, when it is in that cognitive dissonant area? So once she recognizes this, she confronts it. She's no longer afraid of it. So not being afraid of our fears is the first thing. And then once she confronts it, she realizes that indirectly, it is a part of her. She's just projecting it out into the world. And once we then take responsibility, we then have that power to go out and create our lives. So it's an absolutely incredible book. And I'll drop the link below because I'm doing a special promotion here at Christmas time for any of those who want to get it for yourself or somebody you love. It's $9.99, includes shipping and handling, and in other words, free shipping anywhere in the US. And I'll drop that link below. But I'm telling you right now that when I figured this part out and really understood what the difference is between what fear is and what my spiritual passion is, the key is feeling it in our body. And when we know what pain feels like, when we know what fear feels like, when we know what anxiety feels like, but so many of us are disconnected from our bodies. We judge our bodies. We judge other people's bodies. There's so much disconnection from our bodies, which is our greatest tool of communication. And so once Linnea really is in touch with her body, and it's all through dance, that's the story. But once we become more in love with our bodies, when we're really tuned in, then we know the difference of where that's coming from. And then we can also step in to what it is that we fear. So for instance, this week, I ended up having some interviews and some filming work that I needed to do for some projects that I have coming up in the future. And a year ago, I was not ready for that. I would never been in that place. I would have called myself a camera phobic because I had such a phobia of getting on and speaking in public and sharing my message and all of these different things. But in order to dare to believe that I could see this dream of sharing my message, I could see it, it was a dream, but I had this fear of public speaking. The way I was able to get past that is, number one, to have the courage to just put myself on camera constantly. That's something you can do, is whatever it is you fear, just step out on it, face it, be aware of it. And then the other thing is just trusting that whatever that passion is that's been put in our heart is a part of our spirit. It's a part of a greater part of us. So that's the part that we're all trying to tap into on a more frequent basis. We're trying to tap into our greater gifts and our talents, what we're here for, how we bring God into this world. That's what I believe. And that is what makes those changes in our lives. That's what allows us to break free, because then when we are stepping into our gifts and talents, and when we are in our greatest selves, the beauty of that is that it overcomes the fear. So isn't it interesting that our greatest fear can actually lead us to our greatest selves? That, to me, I have found to be one of the most profound experiences. It makes me look at fear in a whole different way. It makes me dare to step out on my fears, because guess what? Until I'm buried, I am going to keep pursuing my greatest self, because that's what I'm here to do. That's what I believe. That's what I believe, that if we all step into and we bring those gifts and talents, and we all bring that passion into this world, that this world would be a different place. Do you agree? I see a ton of love out there. So I'm going to take the next few moments to go through any comments. I see a ton of you are watching. I'm just, if anybody would like to comment or share, you guys are amazing. I don't know if it's my phone or what ends up happening, why I can't see your comments here. Okay. Susan, Red, I feel honored to be tuned in. I love you. Thank you for being tuned in. Oh my gosh, so many friends that have been on this journey. Cheryl from the UK. Yeah, you've been along this journey. Hello from England. Oh, guys, yeah. Oh, Susan, it's the best. I highly recommend it to all. You can go on Amazon, everybody. It's on Amazon.com, but it's $17.99 plus whatever shipping you'd pay for that. So I'll drop the link below so you can get it for the $9.99 with no shipping and handling. It's free shipping anywhere in the U.S. Again, it is You and I Inc., the connection of sexuality and spirituality. But the truth is, it's a metaphor of how to overcome this cognitive dissonance. So thank you for letting me share. I see a ton of you on there. I don't know why I have about this much space to read comments, so I truly apologize, but I promise you, after I get my kiddos down tonight and my family is asleep, I will get on and respond to all of your comments and your love. I feel it. I sit here and I feel the energy, and it is powerful when we're tuned in together live. So thank you for letting me take the time to share, and I hope this encourages and inspires you in your week and you pursuing your greatest gifts and talents. So thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to sharing our next Thursday Night Thought together.